Hello and season's greetings. That is, we are about to enter the season of Advent. This Sunday coming in a couple of days is Advent 1, and it is also our regular Advent communion service. And I'm encouraging you to come and be present for that. I think that you'll enjoy the service. There's a few alterations just for this one Sunday in the order of service, and I think some fun praise music will be accompanying the service, but it will move sort of from the beginning to towards the end of the service. So just a change, and I think you'll find the service helpful. I want to also say in that regard that I really am hoping that many of you can come to the service. But if you are able to come online, fine. You can join in the communion by providing your own elements, and as sometimes happens. I have a whole number of things to talk about. Briefly, I'll try to keep it as brief as possible, but everything has some importance. And so I'm going to do, and this being the season, I've made a list and I've checked it twice. So we'll see if we get through this fairly expeditiously. Okay, so communion this Sunday. December the 3rd, Saturday, December the 3rd, beginning at 1:30 to 3:30, I believe, there is a bake sale. And, of course, we'd love many of you to come to the bake sale, but also if you are so inclined, please donate to the bake sale goods that can be sold. And there will be, the sale will happen in the church hall in the basement, and there will be tea and coffee and things to share. So keep that in mind, December the 3rd. The proceeds from this, and we hope to make a little bit of money from it, the proceeds will be going to the New Beginnings, or new, what do we call it now? We call it Get Ready for New campaign. And the session at its last meeting changed the destination of that money. I hope that those who have donated to it won't mind this, but you will be called by your elder and asked if it's okay for us to continue to use that money for the new purpose, which will be to pay our share for the search and settlement of a new minister, which is our share at the moment in the budget is $5,000. The Getting Ready for New campaign is past the $3,000 mark, so we'll only need a few more $1,000. And obviously that was nowhere near the 12 we needed to do the work we wanted in the narthex. However, we will just put that project back a little bit and take it up in the next year. But if we can make up this $5,000 before the end of the year, that would be terrific. And we are going to need it because of more announcements I have to make. But before I get to that, I'd like to, just the Christmas season and so on, I would like to say that Christmas Eve service, I'm sure it'll be a wonderful service. We've got very good plans for it. Will happen at 6 p.m. this year. That's back to what has traditionally been the time for the Christmas Eve service, I'm told. And so it's at 6 p.m., and it will be a delightful service. And then I had to ask this question. There is no service on Christmas Day. That's a Sunday, but there will be no service. So most people at the session didn't see any need for it following Christmas Eve and so on. Now, how about New Year's Day? Also a Sunday. So I'm going to challenge some of you to come up for it and entice a little bit. What we're going to do is at 10 a.m., our regular start time, we will have a continental breakfast in the narthex. There'll be, croissants, buns of various kinds, tea, coffee, some sweets and nice things. And then at 10:30, we'll go into the sanctuary for a half-hour only communion service. I did a small communion for seniors a few weeks ago, and it was well received. And the communion service was a half an hour, and then we went to lunch afterwards in the narthex. But this time we're going to reverse that: continental breakfast, followed by half-hour communion, so it'll be through by 11 if you wish to be, or you can hang around afterwards and finish up some of the goodies. That would also be just fine, and visit with friends. Some of them maybe you haven't seen in a while. That's the great joy of coming back to church, is meeting old friends. I know that it's been a difficult time, but I am also aware that if for us to succeed, we need people to return in person as much as is possible. Wear masks if you feel the need, but become a congregation again that meets together. And that will be more encouraging for a new minister coming. And speaking of that, we'll get to it. At the last presbytery meeting, which was on November the 8th, the presbytery approved a number of recommendations that were a part of my report to the presbytery. They formally approved our proposal for a shared ministry with Calgary Korean Presbyterian Church. They approved the idea of adding to our session with assessor elders from both the presbytery and from Calgary Korean Presbyterian Church. We're going to add 6 elders, and that will have to be approved by the presbytery, the names, but that will happen probably in January. So that we have, now we're down to really about 5 or 6 elders, and their energy is fine for what they're doing, but it's hard to do more. And so I think for the next maybe 2 years, we'll use assessor elders and to help, so that we can basically get back to maybe about a dozen active elders who can take on districts and also help with any new committees that we need to form and so on, to move ahead, both with our New Beginnings projects and also with calling a new minister and doing what is going to be required around all of that. And there's a lot that we can do if we work at it together. And so it's an exciting time in many respects. They approved the congregational profile. They approved the job description of the incoming minister. And there's details about that I won't go into great detail about, but he will be St. Giles minister, but he will also be ministering to the English ministry at Calgary Korean Presbyterian Church, and hopefully in time bringing out of that ministry the English ministry is for young adults, and it's out of that young adult group, which actually some of them get all the way up to about age 40, get them as a part of our worshiping community as well on Sunday mornings. But at the moment, they worship on Friday evenings. So, but that's the way we are going to begin this work, and then there's much more to do, and we'll do it together, including that English ministry group, such as outreach to our local community. This is something we have not done. We don't know our community well. We want to make the neighborhood our mission field, and see how that's accomplished. And they have the legs, and we have the desire and the smarts to put together good programming for that. And so do they. And that church actually does a lot of local mission work, and they will continue to do that, and we will become a part of some of that. They will become a part of some of ours. So I think it's a great time, but we need participation. I'm going to come back to this all the time. We need people to be there, even just for encouragement, to see people in the sanctuary. We do get good results many Sundays, not all Sundays, but many Sundays, from those who tune in to the either the recorded service or even to the live stream service. So we're thankful for that. So that was approved. Also, the other approval from the presbytery was that we can form a search committee. It has been formed. We have the names. They met last Saturday, and it was a fine meeting. It was 2.5 hours, but it was a good meeting. The congregational profile, which will go to candidates, was received by the Presbyterian Church in Canada Mission and Ministry and Church Vocations Office on Wednesday, and I had that confirmed, and they will be posting that and sending that to likely or possible candidates. One of the qualifications, of course, it's a little different, is that we hope that we will have a minister who is both Korean speaking and English speaking, and that, of course, we want particularly the English side to be excellent, and the Korean side at least understandable to Korean folk, and he can understand them. So that's he won't be preaching in Korean; he'll be preaching in English. So she. It may well be a she. We don't know. And our friend Sandra Cameron Evans will get on to me if I keep saying he, but I'm trying to get over it. Anyway, so that's about that pretty much, and. So let's move on. I can say this about finances for this year. They're in good shape. I think we will get through the year with no deficit. And although it would probably be barely break even, I don't think we'll have any excess funds, but we will have gotten through this year quite nicely, thanks to everyone who continues to contribute in a variety of ways. I know that the e-transfer has become very popular, very, very much more used than it was in the past because it's so simple. There's no costs involved to you or the church. Some still continue with Canada Helps, but there is some charge to that. But that's a good way to, even if you come to church, you don't necessarily have to bring an envelope. But if you wish to, then that's fine. If you want envelopes, call Shelley at the church office for envelopes for 2023. Services, the choir's still going great guns, and so music is a good, strong part of our worship, and so on. Let me see. I've got my list. Let me look at this now. Now I can't even read what I wrote. I think I'm getting there. So those approvals are, I think maybe I'm through most of what I need to say. At some point, we may be having a congregational, I think the presbytery might have asked for this, a congregational meeting to answer questions regarding the move forward with the shared ministry. I will double check that. Written documents will go out to you as well with explanations, and that sort of thing is happening. I'm going to send out an Advent letter, and some of those details will be in it. So we're in good shape, and we just need to move forward and trust and pray that God is on our side, which I believe to be absolutely true. I think we're doing something quite creative, quite inventive, quite new. There's no guarantees in this life, and no guarantees in church life either in these days. But I think that we can make this work, and if we make it work, it'll be a model for maybe many other congregations in terms of how small congregations and large congregations can come together and support one another in a variety of ways. Let me see. So I think that's it. I shouldn't go on too long. I'm almost 15 minutes, so I think what I'm going to say is, well, I hope you have a wonderful Advent and Christmas and New Year if I don't see you. I'll probably address you again before the year is out, but it's been a pleasure to be with you thus far. And yes, I have one more thing I want to say. One of our stalwart members passed away, John Watson. Many of you may have already heard this. I want to confirm that there is a service at St. Giles on December the 30th at 1:30 p.m. with a reception to follow in the church hall. And that should be a fine service. The John Watson's Scottish background means there'll probably be a piper, and there'll be a variety of things that celebrate. It'll be a celebration of life. And his family, his children, none of them live in Calgary, and so they thought this was the best time for a service because they could all come back in that sort of break period of the new year, and have that celebration of life and so on. So that's about it now for me, and we'll look forward to seeing you in church. Please come to church. It won't hurt. And it'll be nice to see people you hadn't seen before. And that seniors communion was terrific because many of them had not seen each other in 2 years, and they had a wonderful time. Okay. Bye for now.